Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is Alexis here. And I am so glad to be back with you guys. I took a week off because we went up to visit my husband's family in Oklahoma, but I am back and I have a bunch of new content that I'm planning, and we're gonna start with this one. So, as I'm sure you are aware, if you follow any of the theme parks that we have across the country, everything has kind of been in this phase of reopening and learning how to run efficiently and safely during the present climate. And Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri is no exception to this rule. We were able to go while we were there on vacation, so I thought I would sit down and talk about it with you guys, break down the new safety measures, exactly how they're handling the crowds and what crowds looked like, some of my favorite tips, and what my feelings are post-vacation and post-day at Silver Dollar City. So I'm really glad you guys are here, and let's just jump right into it. So let's talk about the crowds first and foremost. The crowds were kind of like many other theme parks across the country. Silver Dollar City is doing limited capacity, and if you are a season pass holder, you have to reserve your specific day that you're looking to go and visit. And as far as buying day of tickets, if you order them online, it shows you exactly how many tickets are left for that day. And then obviously if you show up at the theme parks, I'm assuming there's like a ticker in the ticket box that counts down to 0 till the park is at capacity. So it was nice. Having ordered our tickets online the night before, that was one thing we did not have to worry about. We were able to bypass that horrendous line, and when I say it was bad, I mean it wrapped around. If you've ever been to Silver Dollar City, you know where the ticket booth is, you know the layout of that, and it was wrapped around the building a little bit. So I'm very glad that we took advantage of that. And if you are planning on going to Silver Dollar City, or really any amusement park, I would recommend getting your tickets in advance. It's just so much easier, and especially right now, that's one less line queue that you have to wait in. So that is my first tip. Order your tickets online before. It'll also help give you an idea of exactly how many bodies are going to be in the park that day. So, something to consider. Rides weren't that crowded. They were staggered seating. Depending on exactly how the ride was laid out, they would have a group in the front and a group in the back. And if it was big enough groups, they kind of like sat you like that, and then there was space, and then there was another group. So, like the first ride we did, which if you've ever been to Silver Dollar City, you know this ride, Fire in the Hole. They sat our group in the front, and then there was space where like the train cars connected, and then they sat a group in the back. So you weren't really intermixing with other people on the specific train, which was nice. As for in the lines themselves, and I'll talk about this more when I talk about that safety feature, but it was hit or miss depending on what ride you went on. But I'll talk about that in a little bit. But all in all, crowds weren't that bad. We were able to, at most of the day, walk four wide. And we weren't like having to worry about getting into anybody's 6 feet diameter, which is nice. Some of the new safety features. It's pretty standard if you've gone to any other amusement park, or if you've seen what other amusement parks have put in place. They did have 6-foot markers in the line queues. It wasn't as efficient as I've seen Disney, which they have like an actual like strip that goes across. Silver Dollar City only had a circle that had like 6 feet put in the middle of it, and we tried our best. There was 4 of us to stay on our circle, or as close to our circle as we could fit 4 people, but other people didn't care. The worst experiences with the lines itself were at Powder Keg and at the newest attraction that just officially opened this past week, Mystic River Journey. That one, Mystic River Journey, was a mess because it was new. Everybody wanted to do it. It's a water ride. It was humid out that day, so it was gross. and we were sticky and sweaty because we're up in the Ozark Mountains, and it was just, everybody was kind of spread out in those 6 feet markers, so that made it a little difficult. And really, powder keg was only bad because the group in front of us had like 9 people in it, I kid you not, and they all decided that they were gonna have their masks down and that they were going to spread out and they were going to touch everything. And that was just, I didn't like being behind them. But that does bring me into my next point, which was during that line wait, while we were in line for powder keg, I actually witnessed a park worker come through with their disinfectant spray, but they were wiping down the banisters for the ride queue. So that was nice. Once you get up to the ride attendant to get a lane to board this whatever ride you're on, they are handing out hand sanitizer. It is required. They will go around to everybody in your group and you will get squirted. And I'm assuming it's the good stuff because kind of like with food, the best stuff for you doesn't always taste or smell the greatest. This stuff stunk so bad. I don't even know how to describe it other than it reeked. And then every now and then it would smell like apples. Like it either stunk or it smelled like apples, and I don't even understand that, but my whole group, and granted there was 4 of us, so the 3 others who weren't myself agreed. It was like it either reeked of disinfectant or it reeked of apples and disinfectant. It was just a very weird combo. They are spraying down the ride vehicles. Some do it as often as every go through. They'll spray them and wipe them down. But I do know that it is mandatory that every hour on the hour, they halt the ride, they spray it down, and then they send it through a run without any passengers to clean it and kind of breeze it out so you're not choking on those fumes. So that was nice. I actually watched them do this. That's how I know. And they explained, hey, we're sorry for the delay, but this is mandatory. This is part of our safety precautions. So it was really nice to see that it isn't just every once in a while, like they actually have it mandated. Okay, there's also limited or no indoor seating at restaurants. Now, most of the restaurants at Silver Dollar City are kind of like those, they're like counter service meals at Disney. But sometimes, and depending on the type of food that you're getting, they do offer indoor seating. However, I only saw one instance where they actually had tables set up. They were 6 feet away, and like it was like every other table. You couldn't sit them all together. In other cases, with most places, they had picnic tables set up and they had them marked that yes, you could sit here or no, you could not. And I thought it was nice. It helped promote social distancing. There's this one burger and chicken place that has like outdoor seating out in front, and then upstairs it's like a covered deck, but you were still allowed to eat up there. Just again, those tables were marked, yes, you can sit here, no, you cannot. The ice cream parlor, which was the only place that I actually went inside and we sat down for a little bit, they had limited seating and it was marked off, yes, you could or no, you couldn't. So it was a very different type of experience, but those safety precautions and mandates really kind of gave me peace of mind for after, putting myself out there and being a part of humanity to such a great scale compared to the last 6 months. How many months have we been at this? It was March and we're in July/August, depending on when I upload this. We've been at this a while, guys. Hang in there. Hopefully it gets better. Some of my helpful tricks and tips. I have been to Silver Dollar City now. We went for our honeymoon, we went for fall break, we went with friends. This is my 5th time going to Silver Dollar City. And the biggest piece of advice I can give you is wear comfortable shoes. Don't wear Chacos you just got and haven't had the chance to break in properly. Don't wear those new pair of sneakers that, again, you haven't had the chance to break in properly. All of Branson is a hill. So, while yes, at the beginning, it might be nice because most of the things you have to go downhill for. But then after you go downhill, sometimes to get to the rides, you have to go uphill, or you have to go slightly uphill. And it's just a lot of heavy walking. Like, Disney is mostly flat, and that's a lot of walking. I mean, but Silver Dollar City doesn't take up nearly as much space as even like the Magic Kingdom does, but because it's uphill, that's the only reason I'm equating it to Disney, is that you're constantly going up and down, and it's steep. It's not like rolling hills, it's steep hills. So, wear a good pair of shoes. My feet hurt for 3 days afterwards. I'm not even lying. And then we went on Saturday and went back to school shopping with his siblings. So there was a lot of walking, and I didn't have time in between to properly heal. So wear comfortable shoes. So while I'm on this soapbox of being comfortable, I highly recommend paying for preferred parking. There's 3 categories of parking. There's the free parking, which more of the times than not, you're going to want to get the tram for, whether going or coming. There's preferred parking, which is slightly closer. Not much, I mean, if it wasn't on a hill, it wouldn't be that bad. The only reason I'm recommending paying for better parking is because it's on a hill, and you know for a fact that at the end of the day, you're not going to want to walk or take a train because everybody's sticky and sweaty and it's gross. So, either preferred or premier parking. I know preferred parking was only $15 extra, and when you're paying all, like, I shouldn't say all, because it was like 60 some dollars a ticket, which is pretty average. I don't know. So when you're adding that into your cost, $15 extra isn't that much. So get better parking. Because again, at the end of the day, you're not going to want to ride the train with all the other families. You're not going to want to have to walk to your car after walking uphill both ways. It really feels like you're walking uphill both ways. So pay for parking. You're not, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to cost, but the benefits outweigh the cost, if that makes sense. And if I didn't ramble too much. Drink plenty of water. I feel like this goes without saying, and if you go to theme parks a lot, you know that you should be drinking a lot of water. But again, it's kind of like Florida. It's muggy, it's humid, it's hot, and you're walking a ton. So I think I drank more water. This is going to sound bad for me. I drank more water while we were at Silver Dollar City than I probably have in the past month. Let that just speak for itself. But you're going to be sweating a lot if you're going in the summer, so you're going to want to replace all that water that you're losing. Definitely drink water. A lot of water. Along with water, do the water rides. Even if you're not really into water rides, there's only 2 of them. Like in the actual park, they do have a water park that's separate from it, that's more in downtown Branson. But do the water rides. There's a traditional log flume ride where it's set in the wilderness and you end with a splash, and I got more wet on that than I did on the Rapids ride, which is Mystic River Journey. It is brand new. It wasn't technically even officially opened when we went, but they were still letting people go on it. They had their grand opening like last week sometime after we came back and we were already back in San Antonio. So do the water rides. You're not going to regret it. Plus, it's a lot of fun watching that one person in your group who doesn't want to get wet. For me, it was my sister-in-law, Erin, and it was perfect. If you get a chance to see the ride like on a YouTube video, or if you actually get to go, you'll know that you go through like a traditional Rapids ride, and then you get to a point where they're like, okay, the ride is over. The ride is not over. You get taken up an elevator. You get whooshed onto this elevator, and then you go up and up and up and up, and then it turns, and then like the thing opens up and it like extends and it puts you down this water slide. And my sister-in-law already had the misfortune of any waterfall or water spout that they had in this ride was pretty much directly aimed at her. We came down this thing and there's just this wall of water that's building as we're going. And we turn at the last second. Originally it was going to hit me and my other sister-in-law, but it just, the boat just turned ever so slightly, and this entire wall of water came down on her. And we all laughed. She laughed. She's a good sport about it. But do the water rides. They're a lot of fun. And if you're the person that doesn't like to get wet, just make sure you bring a change of clothes because you're going to be the one that gets wet. That's always how it works. Let's see, what else? Oh, specifically for Silver Dollar City, do the train ride. Now, normally I know, because I do the one at Six Flags anytime that we have gone in the past, it can be boring. But no matter what time of year you go to Silver Dollar City, there is a show included with your train ride. Now, if you ask my husband about this ride, he will give you kind of a, for lack of a better way of describing it, that's not endless, mindless cursing, because he grew up going to Silver Dollar City. And when we went for our honeymoon, they changed it, and he was hyping it up the whole time. He was like, you're gonna love this. Like, they tried to rob the train, and they're gonna ask for money, and any money that they collect, they donate to the children's hospital. And I was like, oh, that's fantastic. And so we had some cash out, and they didn't do it. And he was like he's holding the, like, if we're like on the train, he was holding it out the window, and it was just like, he was so upset. And anytime we've gone back where they've been doing the traditional show, it changes ever so slightly, but not in the way that he wants it to. So watching his face brings much enjoyment. But it's a really interesting show. It's great if you have littles. And at Christmas, you get out to that point and they tell the Christmas story. Silver Dollar City is a theme park that is, I don't want to say completely and totally with religion, but it does share a lot of those values. So they do tell the birth of Jesus at Christmas time, during those times that they are like it's Christmas in the parks or whatever it's called up there, because I'm pretty sure, no, it's holiday in the parks at Six Flags. But whatever it's called up at Silver Dollar City, they do tell the story about baby Jesus. But I think it's beautifully done. And if you're going at that time of year, I highly recommend doing the train ride at night, because everything lights up and it's just so beautiful. Honestly, if I could pick a perfect time of year to go to Silver Dollar City, it'd be at Christmas, because I love the lights. But I'm also from Pennsylvania, and we did Hershey Park every year at Christmas time. So, and if you're from up in Pennsylvania and you're watching this and you haven't ever been to Christmas at Hershey, I think it's Candy Lane, or the Sweet Lights, you have no excuse. Go. You won't regret it. I promise you, it's beautiful. And there's chocolate, so why not? But yes, so that's another one of my tips. I feel like I'm rambling a lot in this video, so I hope you guys are still with me. But okay, for the moment that I was alluding to at the beginning, and I'm sure most of you are waiting for, my honest opinion about the park being reopened and exactly how it was spending a day there. So, masks obviously were mandatory, and I'm not gonna lie, it was hell. It was hell. To wear a mask we were there at least, well, we got there at 10-ish. We didn't leave until like 5. So, from 10 to 5, we were wearing masks. With the exception of going on the water ride. The water rides were the only two that you weren't allowed to wear masks on. It was hell. It was hot. It was humid. It was sweaty. And I made the mistake of wearing makeup. So the entire inside of my mask looked gross. They do have places that you can stop and take a break. Typically it's outside of those restaurants. You are allowed to pull down your mask as long as before you get up, you put them back on. So they did have areas where you could do that. But it was, how many hours is that? Like 7 hours, like give or take, wearing a mask nonstop. And I mean, I'm not sitting here complaining about being forced to do it, because I chose to go. And I think that that's something that if you choose to go to an amusement park, we're all kind of like, yeah, you know, this is just a stipulation. But if that's something that bugs you, wearing a mask for that long, don't go. It was fun, but it also told me everything I needed to know about how Disney would have played out, because we were going to Disney in September. And it would have been hot, and it would have been sweaty, and it would have been muggy, and it would not have been fun. And I'm glad I went and experienced that, because now I know that I did not disappoint myself by saying, let's just wait until next year. I mean, if we have to wear a mask next year, we're still going. But this year, I'm kind of glad that we pumped the brakes on that. But yeah, that was the worst part. My feet at the end of the day and wearing a mask were the two worst parts of that day. So it's just something to think about as these amusement parks are staying open and these mask mandates are staying in place, is that it can be a lot, but you also have the option not to go. So anyway, I think that's everything that I have to say about this. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you have not done so, please subscribe to my channel. I try to put out new content every week. I try to do it on Mondays and Fridays. Sometimes we get a Wednesday upload. If you see something on my channel that interests you, I would highly recommend hitting the little subscribe button down there, along with the bell notification icon to be notified every time I upload new content. If you have any questions about exactly what my experience was like that I didn't cover in this video, I hope you leave a comment down below and I will get back to you guys. I hope you guys have a great week, a great weekend, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!